Marketing Architects.
Hello, and welcome to the Marketing Architects, a research-first podcast dedicated to answering your toughest marketing questions. I'm Elena Jasper. I run the marketing team here at Marketing Architects, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Angela Voss, the CEO of Marketing Architects, and Rob DeMars, the Chief Product Architect at Misfits and Machines.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Hello, we're back with our thoughts on some recent marketing news, always trying to root our opinions in data, research, and what drives business results. Today, we're talking about marketing effectiveness and the Super Bowl, which we all watched last night, or Rob didn't watch it, but he watched the ads this morning, and we gave this special attention to the advertising. So I'm going to kick us off first, though, as I always do, with some research, because before we get into takes on the Super Bowl ads themselves, I wanted to level set with two articles that frame up why this conversation matters. The first is titled, Everything You Need to Know About the 2026 Super Bowl. This is by Denise Warner. It was published in January. It talks about how the Super Bowl isn't just a football game, it's a full-blown cultural event. In its 60th anniversary, Bad Bunny headlined the halftime show. There were massive pregame performances, celebrity-packed parties, and of course, the ads. When you're sharing a stage with global music icons, pop culture moments, and one of the largest live audiences on earth, the temptation can be to chase spectacle first and strategy second. Which brings me to the second article, How Much Does a Super Bowl Commercial Cost in 2026? Which lays out the economics for brands. A single 30-second spot now costs $8 million, and when you factor in production, celebrities, and amplification, total campaign costs can land between $15 and $50 million. And that price has gone up faster than viewership. What brands are really paying for is this mass attention and the prestige of advertising in the Super Bowl. So when you put these two articles together, we get the real question this episode is about. If you're going to spend that much money in that high-pressure, high-attention moment, did the ads actually do their jobs? Of course, that is actually impossible for us to know right now, one day after the Super Bowl, which is when we're recording this, but we can still talk about some of the things we noticed right away and which ads we think will perform well in the long term from a market effectiveness point of view. Okay, but before we get to that, I wanted to start with our consumer hats before we continue as marketers, which I know is hard to do, but did you have an ad that you enjoyed the most as a consumer?
Should we just go around the room?
Gosh, yes, go for it.
I know a lot of people are saying this, so I hate saying this, but I did love Anthropic's ads. They didn't land, though. So I was at a Super Bowl party. I was telling these guys before we started recording. And so I had like a room of lab rats that I could watch and ask questions to and stuff. And I had done some research before. So I had seen the Anthropic ads before the actual event. But in a loud room, it was hard, but I really did like those ads.
I'm actually going to go with Hellman's Meal Diamond. It ticks so many boxes for me, even as an advertiser, but also as a consumer. So I can spread that one on a sandwich any day and devour it.
For me, I'm a sucker for the Budweiser Clydesdales in general, but I just thought that ad was so good. I loved the song. It was American Icons with the eagle. I loved the story, just everything about it. I just loved it.
Yeah, okay. I like that one too. Rob, I just thought you'd come in with Artlist. Did you see Artlist? They were the one so it was the AI company that a week before the Super Bowl made their Super Bowl spot using AI and used the characters from like Budweiser Clydesdales in there, the little eaglets.
Okay, I watched 2 hours of Super Bowl commercials today. And that was not on my 2-hour list. So
I'll send it to you. But it was so good because they used the pre-released ads to create so the polar bear was in there from Pepsi. Like, it was just clever.
All right. Well, I have something to look forward to.
Okay. Now, we are a TV agency, which I think gives us a little bit of a license to comment on this next topic. Did we see any kind of classic, just like TV commercial effectiveness errors when watching these ads?
Oh, yeah. Big ones, don't you think?
Yeah.
It is a straight, like, the Super Bowl is a different environment, too. Because you have, like, consumer attention on the ads that you don't typically have, but you also have a lot of Super Bowl environments where you've got potential, like, for loud room, quote-unquote, failure.
I really think that people can take themselves too serious in a venue like that. And when you're a potato chip and your product is a potato, I just can't go there with you. And I'm like, come on. And then you see the polar opposite of a great ad, which I'll talk about later, Pringles. It just puts a potato chip like Lay's to shame. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny how like Budweiser has made it not really about the beer. Like they've made it about something else. Because if you make it about the beer, it's harder to probably have that emotional connection. But Lay's, they're trying to have the emotion, you're right, with the chip and the potato.
And the potato. And it's a potato, guys. There's just so much room for doing other things with a potato than that. So, yeah.
I had like a few general things I noticed, like no voiceover in a lot of the ads. Like sometimes just none at all. A lot of not knowing who the ad was for. Like remembering parts of the ad. In fact, I had watched the ads earlier, but I hadn't seen the OpenAI spot. And I knew there was going to be an OpenAI spot, and I don't remember seeing it. And then this morning I went and looked it up, and I remember seeing the ad. I had no idea who it was for. I must have looked away at the end or something. There was a lot of that where I wonder what the recall is going to be.
So many bands that did that.
And then my only other thing was very few had like a logo or a URL on the screen for the whole ad. I noticed Row actually did. They had their URL up. I didn't find it distracting from the ad, but very few did that. And then very, very few call to actions, which to be fair, in the Super Bowl, like you don't always need a direct call to action, but I think there were only like one or two that I counted that actually told you to do something.
Yep.
Let's talk about one of our favorite topics, distinctive brand assets. What brands do we think really executed this well, and which do you think either didn't have them or sort of overshadowed their brand assets with some sort of entertainment?
Well, I already threw out Pringles. Pringles has just been a masterclass in this for years, not just this time around. And I was actually surprised they didn't double down with their distinctive assets they've used previously with the mustache, but they were still able to...
Or getting your hand stuck in the Pringles can. I loved when they would do that.
It's just one of those brands where they've uncovered all of those great idiosyncrasies and, you know, what could be even more crazy than building a boyfriend out of Pringles. And just is another great example of product as hero. It didn't wait till the end to reveal it. It was a part of the storyline in a surprising way. They do such a great job with all of their iconography, their colors. It's so good. And I will continue on my bandwagon, which I'll probably bring up a couple times, but the Meal Diamond is what a distinctive asset. It played so well with the brand too, and I'm still singing the damn song in my head. There were so many good parts to that. So good, so good, so good. See what I did there?
I do. I had Pringles down as well. I'll go with then, since you said that one, I'll go with T-Mobile. It's not as fun, but they just use their distinctive assets really well. Like they're kind of a masterclass across their entire marketing platform.
They own that magenta.
They do.
Yeah, I had T-Mobile down. I didn't personally love the Ritz Island spot, but I thought they did a good job with their brand colors. Even the jet ski was like made up of Ritz brand colors. Kinder Bueno, I've seen a lot of different feelings about they had the spot, they're the chocolate bar with the alien characters and the babies, but they did have branding just everywhere throughout the spot. Nerds, I thought did a great job with that. Like from the very start to the end, it was super clear who it was for. And then we talked about this earlier, but a lot just had none until the end. I thought the Claude ads were particularly like an OpenAI was a rough one where you just have no idea. I also noticed very few Sonic logos. Bosch had one, like there were some I wrote down, but not enough.
Bosch was a surprise for me. Wow. First of all, I thought it was a pretty good ad. It uses the Sonic branding right up front. It's an integral part of it. But their stunt got me. And I don't usually get fooled by that stuff, but I had seen the articles about Guy and changing his look, and I didn't connect that with the Super Bowl at all. And I thought, wow, that makes me depressed because I'm old and he's old now. And that was a great play. So hook, line, and sinker for me.
Yeah, agreed. I feel like talking about distinction, we have to talk about Pepsi. What did you guys think about them using the polar bear? And
I'm so biased because I love Ehrenberg Bass, and I've read an article that came out from them where they tested this ad. I think it was I liked the ad as a consumer. I thought it was kind of funny, but I don't think it was a great move from a marketing effectiveness side of things. I actually found an article. Ehrenberg Bass tested this ad. It was Kathy Nigan had done it, and they surveyed brand linkage and ad likability with 1,600 respondents, and they found. I guess do you want to guess? How do we think the ad did?
What are they surveying? What's the question? Just
brand linkage and ad likability. So who could link this ad actually to Pepsi?
I'm going to get
30%.
See, this is where I struggle with like consumer research for Super Bowl ads, because you're in such a distracted environment and versus your dedicated. I'm going to guess the linkage is high and the likability is probably high.
To Pepsi or to Coke?
To Pepsi in this situation. Like they're clearly stealing their elements, which I have a thought on, but what do you think, Rob?
What do I think the study said?
Yeah, what do you think
I think that if you're going to borrow equity, which is a common tactic, and like I said, Neil Diamond is borrowed equity, but don't buy your competitors' equity.
Right.
Because come on. You're never going to separate the polar bear from Coca-Cola. You're certainly not going to do it in one Super Bowl spot. Kiss cam thing was great pop culture moment, but no, I think that backfired.
You'd be correct. They found that the linkage to Pepsi dropped. So a notable proportion of people, 1/5, actually believed the ad was for Coca-Cola. So introducing a competitor, it reduced it. I don't know.
That's
that
interesting.
one. I thought it was really funny.
Does it almost feel mean because it's like you're taking someone's mascot over and making them do evil with it? Does it almost feel? I don't know. I'm just
maybe
pontificating here.
Yeah.
But it brought up for me that Pepsi just doesn't have enough emotional and distinctive equity. Like they're very culture driven. They're very trendy. And I think this is signaling that a bit.
It's like if Corona beer used a Clydesdale in it, right? It just wouldn't feel right.
No.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know. So I feel like I'm biased after seeing some of the research and hearing that. I just feel like it was kind of maybe from a market effectiveness side of things, maybe not the best idea. But that brings us really well into this next question, which is, because that ad has been pretty praised online, it seems. Are there any ads that people are seeming to really like, or ranked highly, that you're a little bit skeptical of?
I have one that we haven't mentioned yet, which was the NFL spot. So the one that had the "You Are Special" song from Mr. Rogers. Do you guys remember that one?
I sure
Was
do.
that with the little kids and the older players? Yeah.
Really poorly branded, super emotional and like well made. And I think a lot of viewers probably came away thinking it was a Boys and Girls Clubs of America spot and not an NFL ad, because it barely showed their logo at the very end of the spot. So
yeah, I'm going to go after Anthropic just because they definitely received a lot of positive press over their ads. And I think it was the wrong audience at the wrong time. That people don't still understand what these large language models are. And there's still so much education and magic that can be communicated so people can understand why their life can change using these technologies. And Google always does a good job of that. They make it emotional. They show practical use. But I've seen two examples now. One, OpenAI, not even this ad, their old campaign basically showed that it's like you can get driving directions for a road trip, like 2004 internet use case for the technology. I think in the case of Anthropic, with them trying to communicate that they're ad-free, is speaking to a problem people don't even know they have. I mean, thinking of using this as a therapist or a sports coach, that's a good idea. Wow, I could do that. So I just think it's too early to be having that type of message strategy on the largest platform on the planet when people are still just trying to understand what AI is and how it can make their life better.
They made me laugh.
They do, because you're an AI savvy person who understands that everyone's wondering what the ad play is.
Yeah.
And so I agree. You watch that first, I don't clap, keep thinking, but the rest of the world, what are they even talking about?
No, you're totally right. You're totally right.
I think that the advertising industry and like people like us I really like the ads, but you're right, Rob. I think the general person probably didn't resonate as much because you don't even know what Claude is, maybe, or you just started hearing about it.
Yeah. And OpenAI is talking about Cortex. Like, no one knows what the hell you're talking about. What is even OpenAI? They know ChatGPT. Like, we are talking to ourselves in that industry.
Yeah. Agreed.
Very true.
Agreed. And then there's also that element of the same thing Pepsi did, where when you're so focused on the competitor, are you just building the brand of ChatGPT at the same time? My only other run I also had Anthropic, I had Pepsi, but I thought the Amazon Alexa ad, which has been praised when I can see this morning. I wondered about that one because I thought, is the category entry point people being afraid of AI? Like, I'm just thinking, like, because that was the whole theme of the ad was like, your Alexa's going to kill you. And I don't know. I mean, my grandma's pretty afraid of AI. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's a good category entry point for them. Just
That's
it was a
such
fun
a
ad
good
though, and I
point.
love Chris Hemsworth and stuff. So I
Yeah.
liked the ad, but
That's a really fair pushback because in my head, I liked the ad because it had Alexa throughout, but it wasn't a boring Alexa ad. It was fun, and Chris is a great talent. You're making a great point, though. I thought it was funny that they turned Alexa a little bit evil, but that's a little inside baseball for us that live in the world of AI, where you're like, oh, that's funny, versus the average person's like, yeah, I'm kind of scared. That's a fair point.
well, we know TV drives an impact in both the short and the long, and we've been talking about the long quite a bit. So let's talk about the short. If you had to guess, maybe Ange, we'll start with you. Which brand do you think would see the biggest short-term sales spike from last night?
Yeah, I'd go with Roe with Serena Williams. You mentioned it already. It wasn't the funniest or the most emotional ad. It was clearly built for that short-term action and really clear branding, clear URL, next step. I think obviously GLPs are having a moment, so there was probably a lot of people out there that find themselves quote unquote in market, and I would guess that was a big driver of some traffic.
I wanted to faint, though, when I saw that ad. I agree with you that this was the right venue to be promoting that product. There was the other one, too, that did a little better job in making it a pill. I think the pill's a big story for GLPs. The challenge I had with it was her giving herself a shot. I was viscerally reactive to that. That, like, needles, shots, things, and to show her doing that made me almost, I know that sounds silly, but, like, I know I'm not the only one that doesn't like getting a shot. I probably didn't need to see that. I would have maybe spent a little more time on the pill because I think that's the big story going on right now because they offer a pill as well. There were two of them that were on there.
Oh, him and hers?
No, it was the one with the parking spot. Oh, yeah, here we go. It was Vegovy. I mean, all these have such hard to remember names. Vegovy, A New Way. And it was a pill, and they were talking about, like, a new way to do this and a new way to do that. And this was a new way to do it, which I thought it wasn't a great execution, but I do like that strategy because I think that's one of the fears people have with that product is needles. And so that's, I think, the only reason I'm with you. That was a good ad, Ange. I just, the needle thing is such a visceral thing. I didn't need to see her get a shot.
Fair enough.
I have one that I wish would inspire a bunch of immediate response because I thought it was the perfect audience to be doing this for, and that was Novartis. And their whole idea around getting the prostate exam, the no-finger prostate exam, I thought was fantastic. It's the right audience to be doing this to. The relax your tight end. I don't like football, but it was funny to me. I'm like, okay, that was a good use of the personalities in there, addressing a fear everyone has, the finger-free test. I'm sorry, the whole thing I thought was just really well played. I just wish I had a different name. No, all these companies need to come up with something simpler to say so you can tell someone. No one's going, did you see the Novartis ad? They're going, hey, did you see the relax your tight end ad? It was a great venue. I hope they get a lot of response from that. So that'd be my vote.
I liked that spot a lot too. Yeah, I was thinking, I bet Lay's, they did that 72-hour challenge. They actually had a QR code. And not many spots, if any, did that. So I'm guessing they had a lot of immediate response.
That's
and
a
then
good point.
I was wondering too, I thought the Squarespace unavailable ad where Emma Stone is trying to find her name URL, like I wonder how many people went to look for that in that moment. And I wondered if they had a lot of immediate response from that, which I think is fun. They didn't have a call to action, but I'll bet a lot of people did that in the moment. Like, oh, does someone own my name?
Yeah.
I was surprised by Coinbase. Weren't you guys? Like,
I have that one on my list to talk about.
Okay, we'll talk about it later then.
No. Why don't we talk? Let's talk about it now.
Well, it's just it was so out of left field from the Coinbase spot that everyone talked about that crashed the website, the QR code.
If you take the good, it's certainly their low budget approach stands out in a field of everyone spending gajillions of dollars. So they were double downing on that without any payoff. before they had a really interesting payoff, the QR code, they were leading people to do something. We spent all our money in giving the money away versus the ad. Like there was a reason for being.
That's a hot take, because I think the advertising industry, I think, really likes that spot. I was seeing this morning, it's ranked pretty high.
We like different, we like bold, and I'll give them that. Yeah. But they did it well last time. They didn't do it well this time.
Yeah, I will say that one definitely got my attention. I was like, who is this? What's going on?
Yeah.
The way so it was attention grabbing. So they were able to do that again. But I agree, the context of it was not as strong as the first time. Probably so hard to repeat.
And I loved that first one. I've talked about that first one several times in this podcast. That's why you got to give them a little bit of a pass. That was genius. This just didn't have the same genius juice going.
Well, we've talked about individual ads. I wanted to zoom out a little bit. What patterns did we see across ads that worked? This could be, humor, consistency, familiarity. What did we see?
What stood out to me were the brands that were being consistent. Budweiser, Pringles, T-Mobile, these are the ads that we're mentioning right at the very start, just in terms of great effectiveness practice.
I think for me, the ads, if I go through almost all of them that I really liked, product is hero. If you were to go, you look at, obviously, the Budweiser campaign, the Jurassic Park ad, which was very well done. Product is hero, fantastic. The Pringles ad, product is hero. All of these, you can just kind of go down the list and go, wow, that is just a consistent factor in good ads. And that's what I was even going to say for me at first, the Alexa Chris Helmsworth, that was product is villain, which was kind of an interesting take on product is hero. I really enjoy, those ads just tend to ring true for me.
I noticed that a lot of the ads I liked had some sort of song, and it made me think of we had Roscoe Williamson on the podcast not too long ago and talked about the effectiveness of music, and I noticed that more, maybe because we had just been talking about that. This year I think there was a lot more humor versus sort of nostalgia, which I wonder, it seems like those worked a little bit more to me. I noticed there weren't as many ads that seemed sort of almost sad, like pulling on the heartstrings. It felt like there was less of that. And then one other random thing I noticed, a lot of inanimate objects, like singing. And I kind of liked some of those ads. So I don't know, maybe there's something to that.
Inanimate objects coming to life, always good, right?
Yeah, right. I don't know.
Something good's going to happen.
I would have to go back to prior years, but the other thing that stood out to me was a lack of strategy around category entry points. Just where I felt a lot of brands, and I get it. It's the Super Bowl, so it's time to be loud, but it's also a massive opportunity to connect your brand to real life buying moments with a really broad audience. And Kinder Bueno would be an example there where you're like, what are we talking about here? Space, aliens, not really sure how this connects to my life.
I agree with the category entry points. That's something I had written down. I didn't notice a whole lot of them. And even some ads I thought had really great distinctive brand assets, but it's easy to sit back and critique stuff. It's got to be so difficult to hit.
I know.
That's why there's so few ads where you feel like that's a perfect Super Bowl ad. It's so difficult to hit on all of that.
And,
And sometimes I saw some commentary about this on LinkedIn too. It's like you want to follow best practices as much as you can, but also you could follow all the best practices and still have a bad ad. So like at what point in the Super Bowl do you got to make certain choices? And
can we talk Salesforce for a minute? I'm really curious to get your guys' take on that strategy.
I gotta have to remind myself what Salesforce even did.
So they had Mr. Beast, and they had this, multi-million-dollar challenge to find the trivia inside the ad, and you could, figure it out and win the money.
I didn't even see this one. I completely missed it. Did you see this one,
Did you see it, Elena?
I didn't see this one.
What I loved about it is it felt reminiscent of the big interactive ads we used to have where you almost felt like you're participating in it, like the puppy bowls and all that kind of stuff. Like making an event out of something is cool. And Mr. Beast is obviously a guy you connect with challenges and money. So that fit for me. The only thing I didn't understand about it is Salesforce is such a B2B play with larger companies versus your HubSpots. I didn't understand how the average consumer that would go on a $1 million hunt on their screen would connect with that audience. So it felt like a neat idea, just for the wrong product, for me at least, because it just seemed like you're going to get a lot of unqualified people interacting with your brand.
Yeah, it sounds confusing.
Yeah, I think Salesforce, I really love their like Einstein character. And
Yes.
they have so many great distinctive assets. I think it seems like they've done a lot of different things recently with different celebrities. And I wonder if getting back to some consistency might be helpful.
Might be a good thing.
For them. Now to shift to the long term. I know this is a hard question, but which ad do we think people are going to remember like months from now if we look back on the Super Bowl?
So hard.
I had to go with Xfinity. You're playing on Jurassic Park. We all know that story. Like, that was just, for a geriatric millennial, that just hit square on the head for me. I will remember that forever.
That was really well done. I think for me, I'm going to still go back to, and again, we're talking about longevity. Like, what has legs? What could you do a lot of fun things with? If they can keep doing Meal Diamond in some level, I just think that thing hits for me. I don't know what it is about the approachability, everyone loves Neil Diamond. Even if you don't love Neil Diamond, you like Neil Diamond. It just has a fun vibe. It's wholesome, and you can just do that all year long. And so I think they've got a bit of an earworm that they can continue to leverage. And it's an easy handle to communicate too. It's like Meal Diamond, I get it. Okay, got it. Funny or not funny if you don't like that, but I think it has legs.
Yeah. You really like that Hellman spot.
Yeah. I really did.
How many times can we talk about that spot in one episode?
We are sponsored by Hellman's. So.
Oh my gosh.
Rob needs a sandwich.
Yeah.
I do. I think I just need a sandwich. I think that's right.
So mine, I'm probably biased, which I just love the Budweiser ad so much. I think that one's probably going to be remembered, partially because they do such a great job using and I know they got away from the Clydesdales for a second, but in recent history, they do a good job using the Clydesdales. And I thought the song they used to, like the Freebird song, it's like stuck in my head all morning.
You know what? I'm not a big fan historically. Like, I love the Clydesdales. Like, how can you not? Because they're beautiful horses and whatever. But some people really over-index on liking that campaign. And I would really agree with you. This one, for me, hit better because it took itself seriously and then it didn't. And they don't always do that. This one, they blended the absurd with the emotion, and it just worked for me. Mm-hmm. And when the wings span over the horse, and
the guy at the end saying "Sun of my eyes,"
it's it's a horse kicking a football or something. You're like, I get it, but it's not quite that. Where this one, it's just like it lived in a new lane for me, and so I did really like that one.
Elena, do you remember last year's
that Budweiser did? I know they did Clydesdales.
Yeah. Was it the one?
Well,
no. I feel like I remember it.
They haven't done the Clydesdales always in recent history.
All right.
I think it was where a train breaks down or something and the Clydesdales bring the beer. Was that last year?
I don't remember.
Okay. Anyway.
I'm not going to forget this one, though. I promise next year when you ask me. Yeah. I'm going to remember this one.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. How about quiet winners? What are some spots or one or two that aren't going to be on these top 10 lists, but we think did real work for the brands?
Yeah, Rob took mine earlier. I said Bosch. Just a guy versus guy. Not the funniest, not the most viral. I don't know if it's on the list this morning or not, but that clear product integration. They're using celebrity, but it's not like overshadowing what they do. Category entry points, clear. So I give them an A.
This might surprise you guys. I'm going with Meta. Meta did a great job. It was great product demo. It had great use cases that were aspirational. They still got some celebrity in there with like your Spike Lee and whatnot, just showing the quality of this product is going to be really good. But then they also doubled down and they ran a couple ads. So I think they just showed up well. No one's going to be writing home about them, but they're building a category right now, and I felt like they own that.
I agree. Mine is, we've already talked about it, but the Xfinity ad with Jurassic Park. But I think that one has gotten some praise now that I'm seeing it more online. But I thought it was just a great ad. I love that they had the Jurassic Park soundtrack. We said it worked perfectly for like the actual solution that they have. It was funny. They had the right characters in it.
Great ad.
I just thought that was amazing.
The other thing that stands out now that you say that is there's more familiar music than I can remember in prior years. There was just a ton of familiar
so much music.
Yeah. But this was familiar in a different way. It stood out more because it was more movie based or, whatever, just not another Bon Jovi song. So,
Yeah, I'm telling you, I really noticed the music this year.
Yeah.
It seemed like a lot of brands were investing in songs. Okay, now what surprised us the most from an effectiveness side of things from this year's Super Bowl? This could be good or bad. What was surprising?
Mine was the bad branding. Just so many brands waiting until the last seconds of an ad to reveal who the ad's for. And they might be attempting to use distinctive elements before that in the seconds leading up to the end. But geez, like we're marketers that study this stuff all the time. And if we can't grasp who it's for, certainly the common viewer isn't going to. So a lot of money being spent on seconds with no recognizable elements.
Yeah, I think we talked about a couple of mine already, but the lack of category entry points I thought was interesting, or maybe a future opportunity. For the most part, I liked how celebrity was used across these ads. I feel like some years celebrity feels really overdone, but I thought that there were a lot of like really good celebrity ties.
So who won the celebrity challenge here? Who was in the most Super Bowl ads? Now, I don't know if this is an official number. I noticed it, but I'm actually curious. The same celebrity was in 3 different brands.
Oh, man.
Oh, geez.
Was it Tom Brady?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Was it, I know there was 2 ads for sure. What's his name in Jurassic Park? The guy.
There you go.
What's his name?
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum.
Yes.
Who's the third one?
So he was in apartments.com. He was in Xfinity, and he was in, like, leading off in the Wicked movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, he's in the Wicked movie.
Right.
I know, maybe that's that might be a cheat. From a celebrity, what husband and wife team was high-fiving during the Super Bowl?
Wait, because they were at the Super Bowl or they were in
No, because they were each in a different Super Bowl commercial. I mean, how many times can you say a married couple each did their own spot? That's bringing some money home.
They were in different commercials?
Different commercials.
Spots.
They weren't even used together. Do you need a hint? Ritz crackers.
Okay, so that was, what's her name?
Scarlett Johansson was in it.
There you go.
Scarlett Johansson and Colin. Yeah.
Colin Jost.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know
DraftKings.
she was married to Colin Jost. Okay. We're almost wrapped up here. Hang in there. General takeaways. If your brand, not every brand's in the Super Bowl, what are just some good takeaways from these ads that we could learn from?
I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but like the Super Bowl is really the only day of the year that anyone other than marketers cares to like give mindful attention to advertising. I feel like fair, right? And we as consumers care very, very little about brands and I mean, that's what we talk about, why we talk about like distinction and advertising being so important, because we live in this system one mindset of decision making, and we are a very distracted culture, and we build memories through story and emotion. And a lot of what we discussed today, I think, can reign true in non-Super Bowl environments where it's like we need simple message, clear product, great branding. There's a lot of ways to screw it up, but there's a lot of ways to do it really well too. And I think if we apply some of what we talked about today to just what we do on the day in and day out basis, like we're going to win more.
If I was a brand that is not able to afford the Super Bowl, I would be very careful that I'm not using the Super Bowl as the playbook for doing commercials, because it's a very different experience when you have people that are actively watching TV commercials. And it's one of the few events where people will literally actively watch and do podcasts about them. And so because of that, there's an unfair advantage to some of the techniques that they can use and still be effective, right? And we've talked about many of those on this podcast, but it comes back to the principles of distinctive assets, product is hero. It's all those good things that you just want to be taking a look at and not be distracted by some of the shiny objects that get introduced in a format where you can be allowed to use those, or at least it's more forgiving.
Those are perfect. I don't feel like I have anything else to add, honestly. Those are great takeaways. All right. Final question. If you could give out a marketing effectiveness award to just one brand, one commercial that you thought followed the principles the best, who would it be?
This is a really hard question. I'm going to go with Google's Gemini. We didn't talk a lot about it, but it was very clear right from the very get-go who the brand was for. There was emotion to it. Do you know how long ago Loretta was? I had to look this up this morning. Remember, we talked about Loretta a lot, the Gemini spot. Mm-hmm. That was 2020. Holy
my
cow. That was a
gosh.
long time ago. I know. Isn't that crazy?
I love that spot.
I've already talked about Hellman's enough, so I'm not going to.
Please.
But, so I'm going to do the opposite and award the worst one of the whole thing. And
What the heck? Rob.
Just makes his own rules.
well, I don't. You guys don't want to hear me talk about Neil Hellman anymore. So, what about Dunkin' Donuts?
That one's getting a lot of praise.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because it should have gotten a lot of praise. Like it had a lot of great things that are potentially going for it, and it just felt like something happened. Like it just didn't edit right. It was too much borrowed equity. There's people in there that people have no idea who they are. It was playing off of one of the greatest movies of all time. And how about them nuts? Nothing landed in that commercial. It just didn't.
That line did make me giggle a little bit, but that's where you've just got celebrity overshadowing, I think. How do you not?
Confusion.
There's like 54
Yeah.
celebrities in that spot.
Maybe I shouldn't have gone the negative route. We're talking about the helmets enough. But it's so easy to literally Monday morning quarterback the Super Bowl spots, and all of these smart folks that put all of these commercials together, I'm sure have strong PowerPoint decks that made them all make sense in the moment. And some things hit, some things don't. We've all been there.
And I think we believe for the most part, like doing a Super Bowl spot at all is a brave thing to do, and it should be a good investment. You're in front of a big audience, and it's emotional advertising. And I saw Mark Ritson talking about how the Super Bowl is funny because it's such a great example of like this is actually how advertising works. It's like these big mass moments, the emotional storytelling, which we forget that, but then we all get so excited for the Super Bowl and we comment on the ads, and it's like, well, that's because like most of the Super Bowl principles are marketing effectiveness principles. But anyways, I'm going to do what Rob wouldn't do, which is I'm going to talk about Budweiser again because I am so obsessed with that ad. I thought it was amazing. I loved the music and the Clydesdales, and I'm not going to say it again, but that one I'm going to award. And you know what? I'm going to go watch it again after this because I just really liked it.
Yep. I'll send you guys art list. I think they're just being disruptors. It wasn't necessarily a marketing effectiveness spot. But then also I would throw out a brand that was everywhere this weekend except for the Super Bowl. And that was Kolschy. They did some type of what we would call a lightning strike, but holy cow, I couldn't get away from I heard him on the radio, I saw him on television.
Snack bar?
No, it's like a online betting platform, something. But holy moly, they had to have spent more than they would have on a Super Bowl spot. They were everywhere. So props to them on a big weekend of getting themselves out there without being in the Super Bowl.
That's it for this episode of The Marketing Architects. We'd like to thank Taylor De Los Reyes for producing the show. You can connect with us on LinkedIn, and if you like the podcast, please leave us a review. Now go forth and build great marketing. Cool. I did fall asleep before the game ended, though, so I didn't really see them win.
Yeah,
but
I fell asleep before it started. So
Marketing Architects.